Hello, everyone. We are a group of English language teachers from Universidad Andrés Bello, Natalia Osses, Maripaz Poblete, and I, Jimena Lecaros. Today, we are pleased to present our proposal to the Chilean Ministry of Education, Mineduc. Let's check the index. The topics to be discussed today are background information, lesson plan, analysis of the lesson plan, conclusion, and finally, the references. Now, we continue with the background information. This lesson plan was designed for an 8th grade. It belongs to a subsidized school in an English class. Now, let's check the lesson plan. The objective chosen is the OA number 9, as you can see. The structure follows a traditional format, inicio, desarrollo, and cierre, but it shows several weaknesses from a methodological point of view. Although the plan includes basic visual resources, as at PowerPoint, whiteboard, colored markers, it lacks learning objectives. It also lacks communicative purpose and student-centered activities. There is no mention of skill integration like listening, speaking, reading, and writing. In short, the plan reflects a teacher-centered, content review approach rather than interactive or creative methodology that promotes authentic communication, which is precisely what our new proposal aims to improve through communicative language teaching and creative role play. For this reason, our proposal focuses on integrating creativity into the language curriculum to enhance our students in the comprehension and also in the communicative skills, while fostering confidence, inclusion, and also the motivation in the classroom. As Zulis in 2024 highlights, creativity and affective engagement plays a crucial role in improving students' motivation and language learning outcomes. Let's continue with the next slide. As I mentioned before, we chose a lesson plan for our 8th grade as our target level because at this age, students are consolidated basic communication skills and can benefit greatly from creative, communicative tasks that help them to gain a confidence in using the English language. The objective that we create to make this more creativity into the English curriculum is to demonstrate oral communication skills by creating and performing a short role play about personal experiences learning English using appropriate vocabulary and expression, while showing confidence, collaboration, and respect for others' ideas. To address at least one common classroom challenge, one of the frequent challenges in 8th grade in an English class is the low oral participation. Many students feel anxious when they have to speak in front of others because they feel afraid of making mistakes and also of being judged by the other classmates. This often limits their opportunity to practice the language and develop fluency. To address this challenge, our proposal applies the communicative language teaching, TLT, and also the task-based learning, TBL. These approaches encourage our students to use English in meaningful and authentic ways. Now, let's continue with Natalia.
Thank you, Jimena. Let's follow up by presenting a new lesson plan proposal that aims to improve and build up some aspects. While the previous lesson plan had interesting ideas, there were a few areas that could be developed more deeply. That is why we design a lesson plan that include the necessary areas to promote a good learning environment for English as a foreign language. So our lesson plan should last for about 60 minutes and it's for 8th graders. Um, in order to enhance the students' speaking skills and to overcome the big challenge mentioned there, like the low participation and anxiety when speaking English, we propose to use a creative role play as a communicative strategy. This task will allow students to practice authentically the target language in a safe and supportive environment, where, as you can see, mistakes are part of the learning process. And without further ado, let's take a look at the lesson plan. So the lesson plan is divided into the different stages, as you can see, the warm-up, the presentation, the practice, the production, and finally, the closing. We also have the time management, the purpose of each activity, the description, resources or materials, and the expected outcomes that we expect for our students. Let's go in a deeper analysis. So we're going to start with the warm-up, which is for about 10 minutes, and it's focused on this activity. Find someone who. This activity supports students to speak and to interact freely with their classmates. This lower the affective filter, which creates a comfortable learning environment for them. Then we have the presentation stage, which should last for about 10 minutes. What we do here, the main idea is to introduce the vocabulary that they're going to be used in the following activities. And it's going to present it on the Canva platform because they can be more colorful, didactic, and catchy, and for a better understanding of the learners. Then we have the practice stage for 15 minutes. Here, we're going to practice with the worksheet. It includes a word bank, visual aids. They're included for them to make it easier to follow. For example, with control conversation to guide the students before the main activity. Then we have the production stage, which is for about 15 minutes, which will be analyzed more deeply by my classmate, but basically is the creation of a dialogue using the vocabulary learned previously, promoting first creativity and then communication. Also, the dialogue reflects their personal experience with the English language. So they can work collaboratively and in pairs, use visual prompts, word banks for support, and to perform or even record their role play. Then, last but definitely not the least, we have the closing, which will last for about 10 minutes. This closing is a reflective activity where we have to recognize students' improvement, for example, for pronunciation, for fluency. This will increase the motivation and the confidence in themselves. So this activity aligns completely with the communicative language teaching or CLT approach, as it focuses on real communication and meaning making rather than just memorization of isolated structures. And additionally, our proposal draws on the principle that effectiveness and engagement somehow enhances language learning. So now let's move on with Maripaz.
Thank you. So in our proposal, visual aids and technology enhance interactivity and effectiveness in English learning. Research shows that students' effective engagement improves when digital tools and multimodal resources are used, according to SWAIN 2025. During the lesson, we used Canvas slides with colorful images and key expressions to model the dialogue and support visual learners. We also include cue cards and word banks that help students remember vocabulary and structure the ideas. To promote creativity and engagement, students record their role plays using Flip or their smartphones, allowing them to review their pronunciation and reflect on their progress. These tools enhance participation, provide multimodal input, and create a more inclusive and motivating environment where students can visualize, practice, and share their learnings using authentic digital resources. On the other hand, our lesson fosters a positive and inclusive environment that accommodates varied learners' needs, aligning with the contemporary evidence that peer feedback and inclusive tasks support effective engagement in EFL setting. Students work in pairs, allowing everyone to participate according to their language level and personal confidence. Visual prompts, cue cards, and vocabulary banks are used as scaffolds for students who need extra support, including those with special educational needs. The teacher also encourages empathy and teamwork through positive reinforcements, using expressions such as good job, take your time, let's help our partner, or your partner. So in this way, the classroom becomes a safe and motivating space where all students feel valued and capable of expressing themselves creatively in English. Besides, now we have chosen a rubric. We have worked on that. So let's move on to that slide. And we have decided to use this speaking evaluation rubric because it supports Tomlinson's 5 principles for effective learning materials. First, we have the pronunciation, which connects to exposure. The vocabulary used supports attention. Creativity is linked to effective engagement. Collaboration reflects reflection and interaction. And finally, fluency represents use of language for real purposes. So in short, this rubric doesn't just assess performance, it helps learners experience language as communication, not just as a school subject. And now we have the conclusion. We have to highlight that our proposal emphasizes the importance of integrating creativity into the English language curriculum to enhance students' communication skills and motivation. We have addressed a common classroom challenge by applying the CLT approach and Tomlinson's effective engagement perspective. Through a creative role-play activity, students use English meaningfully while developing confidence, collaboration, and self-expression. The integration of visual aids and technologies such as Canva, cue cards, and flip recordings enriches learning, while inclusive strategies ensure that every student feels supported and valued. So, therefore, we invite the Ministry of Education to consider this proposal as a step toward a more creative, engaging, and equality English curriculum for all Chilean learners. And we have a quote that we want to posit here. It says, I want to see students who embrace their own sense of possibility, not to follow my path, but to look within and declare, I'm here. I have the tools and I can shape my world. That to me is the ultimate purpose of education, to spark the courage and conviction for young people and others to make a difference. This is said by Henry Girac. So here we have the references. Thank you so much.